Welcome to You Know His Name, a 007 podcast. I'm your host, Tony Artiga, and I am joined once again by my esteemed colleagues, John Morgan, and Rick Rodriguez.
Rick Rodriguez.
Hey!
Hey, it's John Morgan.
Hi, John Morgan.
Shut up,
You were
Rick.
talking before about your dreams of Bond. Can you extract?
Why does nobody say hi, Tony? Do I not matter?
You're over there. You're in
Fantastic.
the host seat, and we're over here on the guest couch.
Being judged.
John Morgan is the Jada Essence Hall of Bond and Beyond. That is a RuPaul's Drag Race reference, and if you don't get that, then I feel sorry for you. So welcome.
Oh, don't. You don't need to feel sorry for me.
I feel very sorry for the both of you. So welcome to our next discussion episode, where we will be discussing the first, the baddest Bond of them all, Sir Sean Connery. I'm really excited to get into this with you guys.
I've never seen any Sean Connery movies, but I'm real excited.
Hold on. Time out. Let's finish our snacks and do this properly.
Are you sure you don't want to just continue to eat while you talk?
No, because I don't want to be
Another thing.
It's a lot. It's pretty easy when you just keep smacking those lips together. You start to get into a rhythm.
We're doing an ASMR episode.
So, guys, really excited to be talking about our topic today. We're doing another discussion episode on Sean Connery, the first and best James Bond. And just so listeners are clear, I know there'll probably be somebody in the comments say, but Barry Nelson, no. Sean Connery. He's the first, and that's where I stand anyway. So yeah, I'm really excited to be talking about this this amazing actor that we're about to delve deep into his filmography, deep into his history, and his association with Bond. Rick, I would actually like to hear from you first.
Oh, I'm a real big fan, but I've only seen him in one movie. Chi. Yeah, what do you want me to start with? Sean Connery. He just passed away this past 2020 in October, I believe.
Yep.
Can't recall. He was like 90 years old and a Scottish lad. I think he grew up in a poor family and everything. And he just really worked his ass off to make it. I don't think he even graduated high school. I think he left school at a really young age or something because he had to work, I believe. So this was a guy that kind of made his own way. You know, tough as nails, a bruiser, a flight and all that stuff. I think he modeled also to add to his tough guy pedigree. No, I'm just kidding. I can picture his ghost kicking my ass. Yeah, I think he got the part because it was an extensive casting call, was it not? Like Cary Grant was.
Cary Grant was cast. I think we mentioned in an earlier episode how he was cast and he was older for the part than most people would expect. But the real reason why that didn't work out is because he would only commit to one film and wouldn't commit to a series of films. And then Albert Broccoli and Harry Saltzman, I forget which of the two, maybe both of them, were referred to Connery as a result of Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that movie.
Mm-hmm.
For
and
Disney.
Then when Tubby Broccoli asked his wife Dana, like, is he sexy? Her answer was yes, he is very sexy. And that kind of clinched the deal for his casting, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I know Terrence Young had to work with him extensively. They really worked on the character together, from what I've read, and how he moved, how he acted. Basically, what I've heard it described as like to turn this, brutish, brooding Scotsman into a debonair Englishman. And it really paid off. I mean, it made Sean Connery's career. He would subsequently have a love-hate relationship with the role, understandably. This is, God, I think maybe, I don't think, even though, yeah, you had actors like Errol Flynn associated with things like Robin Hood or Captain Blood, I think actors would get, I guess you had Boris Karloff with Frankenstein or Bela Lugosi with Dracula, but the enormity, the worldwide international enormity of this character and his specific portrayal of it.
I think
Not the first actor to play Bond, but
yeah.
the first to really bring it, I think, fully to life.
Well, two things about that. One, I think the other comparison in terms of actor and role around this time was probably actually George Reeves as Superman. Where it's like
That's true.
this guy was Superman to everybody and not George Reeves.
But on the scale of worldwide, I think there is no comparison.
I mean, I think it's a fair statement to make. I think it might actually be fair to make, but maybe that's why Sean Connery was trying to avoid being stereotyped.
Well, I know it led
led
to a bunch of, I mean, he had great success. He had struggled his whole life and worked very hard. And I know it led to just everyone hounding him over this part and stuff. And he had ambition. Like, I don't think we would be talking about Sean Connery if he didn't also have goals as an actor, both financially and artistically.
Right. He'd also worked pretty extensively before he was cast as James Bond.
Right. And during the run, he would work with Sidney Lumet for the first time in a movie called The Hill. But it didn't get a lot of notice because probably people were like, Sean Connery, say James. No, it's not James Bond. Never mind. We'll wait for the next James Bond. So that probably builds resentment too, where it's like, do they only see me as Bond? I got to break out of this. That kind of thing.
Yeah, probably.
And to sum up the narrative of Connery, he struggled for a long time.
Yeah.
He does a lot of movies, but it's not really till the 70s that he starts, funny enough, mostly in period pieces. Yeah. That he kind of starts finding an audience willing to let him open up. And by that time, he's receded. His hair is gone.
Yeah.
So he's kind of entered character actor phase. But the thing with Connery is that his presence and his his commandingness just, he couldn't go the way of a character actor. He was too powerful an actor and a presence to go that way, even though that's kind of where it seems like it's heading, but he's still starring in roles. I mean, he's one of the many legendary actors in Sidney Lumet's Murder on the Orient Express, working with Sidney Lumet again. And then he does three back-to-back period adventure movies that are all really good. The Wind and the Lion with director John Milius, The Man Who Would Be King, co-starring Michael Caine and Christopher Plummer, who just passed away, and directed by John Huston. And he does a sweet little movie called Robin and Marion for Richard Lester, director of Hard Day's Night and the director of the best adaptation of Three Musketeers, split into two movies, Three and Four Musketeers. Yeah, but either way, it's like, so he becomes this, starts becoming a successful entity outside of Bond. And it's funny that it took these kind of period adventure films. Yeah, he gives those movies a hell of a lot of gravitas, it's the beginning of him playing, characters. He plays a Berber pirate from Morocco in The Wind and the Lion, but with full Scottish accent. But he gets away with it because he's Sean Connery.
It's crazy. It's crazy how he gets away with it. The second point that I wanted to bring up that you brought up, Rick, expand on, is that, I mean, yes, I was being facetious at the top of the episode. Sean Connery is not the first actor to play Bond, but he's the first actor to play Ian Fleming's Agent 007 of Her Majesty's Secret Service, James Bond. Barry Nelson played Card Sense Jimmy Bond, a CIA agent in the Climax TV episode of Casino Royale. I don't personally count that because it's not faithful to Ian Fleming's interpretation of the character, but did want to
It's like a cheapy TV movie, if I recall.
Yeah, it's a TV episode, actually. But yeah, essentially. Although, interesting thing about that episode, which we'll expand on, I'm sure, when we talk about Casino Royale, Le Chiffre was played by Peter Lorre, who would make... It's a shame that he didn't play a Bond villain in one of the actual Bond films, because I think he would have been fantastic as a Bond villain. John, we'd love to hear from you about your thoughts of the career of one Sir Sean Connery.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. how much more I can elaborate on what Rick offered up. I mean, I know some things about his earlier work in television in England and doing a lot of Shakespearean work. And then, alongside that, outside of really being very focused on theater, he was a bodybuilder from when he was very young. And, but he was always ending up in lower places.
That led to the modeling.
That's right. Yeah. But he was never winning competitions. He was either not placing or placing third. And I think I read somewhere online that it was because the American bodybuilders he found were like continuing to not participate in like athletic sports because they'd lose muscle mass and, prior to the competition. So, and Connery was just like an active guy. He's like, I'm not going to not have fun and go and play sports and stuff. I mean, it's part of why I've maintained my physique, and it's unrealistic. So he turned away from doing that. And then also, of course, he didn't want to be like a huge fucking beefcake when he had to play like modest people, just everyday people. He was also really interested in playing, aside from playing like, more like
heroes and kings and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he understood that like maintaining a more regular and leaner physicality would allow him to fall easier into roles rather than just being like this meaty beefcake trying to get wanting to play Hamlet or something. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, and he was already a tall man. I mean, yeah. I think the comparison is he looks a lot, maybe not facially, but body structure wise, like kind of Hugh Jackman-y. Yeah, tall but strong and lean in his early movies.
Absolutely.
He starts eating steaks and filling out a little bit in like Thunderball and You Only Live Twice.
Yeah. But he was a really lean guy, and he could play a role like Macbeth. And he
wanted to make a movie of that. I think
he did. He was in a TV movie of Macbeth in 1961.
I think he wanted to do it again for a big feature because I remember reading it got canceled because Polanski got his out first.
Oh man, and that one's really hard to follow up. I love Polanski's.
Yeah, that's a great one. But it's definitely along the big list of like, yeah, but I really would have wanted to see Sean Connery.
Sure, but
especially curious to see who he got, who would they have got for Lady Macbeth for him?
That would have been fun. But if Connery did want to do Macbeth, especially at that time, he would have been too costly for any studio.
What year was that?
What year was movie? Yeah, it was 61. The TV movie was like in 61. That would just aired in England, and that was that was pre Dr. No. Dr. No was just the following year, but that also him participating in those like play of the week TV episodes and bringing Shakespeare to people at home. Those were primarily the reason why he was casted, aside from his appearance. And I guess that
God, is this a dagger I see before me?
Well, he would also do the Scottish accent, and people were critical of him at first, but then he was so adamant and said, like, listen, I'm just not built to do accents.
He got away with it for so many years, and everyone loves to be like a hipster about it. Like, his fucking voice hasn't changed. It's like his voice is so commanding.
Yeah.
It's why he's like, well, I'm Captain Marco Ramis, of
Russia.
Like, why would you want to change it?
Yeah, I'm Egyptian. I'm not Spanish. I'm Egyptian. I'm from Montana. Like, it didn't matter. He just like,
I'm a Cuban.
It just Viva la Cuba.
I'm from Havana.
It just worked because his voice was commanding.
I mean, I just got an image of him playing Edna Turnblad in Hairspray the musical. Like, I am Edna Turnblad. No, no, Tracy, you can't go to the show.
He almost played. He was up for the part of Diego de la Vega in the development of Mask of Zorro, with Andy, cool. Also along with Andy Garcia. So that would have been
so strange that we're okay with that, but it would have been cool.
They ended up getting a Welshman.
I mean, listen, honestly, I'm actually very happy with that Anthony Hopkins.
No, not at all. I just consider it another what if kind of thing.
Well, speaking of what if scenarios, I'm thinking about Starless that could have acted opposite him as Lady Macbeth, and I know it's kind of cheap to go to the Bond women of the time, but I don't know. Diana Rigg would have made a hell of a Lady Macbeth.
Even not Ursula Andress. What's her name? Sure,
Honor Blackman.
P word galore.
Pussy Galore from Goldfinger. You mean Honor Blackman, right?
Honor Blackman, thank you.
Honor Blackman.
She would have been strong, I think, too.
Mm-hmm.
Gotten Jane Fonda in there.
There you go.
That'd have gotten
Good
sold.
choice.
Easy.
Good choice. Good choice.
Or even, you know who I would have loved as Lady Macbeth is, what's her name? From
I love that.
you know,
my absolute favorite. What's her name?
from Viva Las Vegas. What's her name?
What? Elvis?
Yeah, I know it sounds like a ridiculous choice, but Anne Margaret, I think, always never really got tapped enough for more dramatic roles, and I think she proved in very early on that she's very cut out for them.
I think you're onto something. I just also had a daydream of like Connery and Elvis acting opposite each other in the Shakespeare play. Like, oh.
I just think Anne Margaret is a very devilish. She's a very devilish personality, and she's very.
I don't know if she has period in her though. I mean,
I think if you put her in the right clothes, it works. And working opposite someone as commanding as Connery would have inspired her to do a good job. I feel she works well off other performers, as you see in Viva Las Vegas.
Line, John.
Okay. So
one take.
I didn't get to talk a lot about the rest of his career, but I will say I love Zardoz.
Well, okay, so yeah, there we go. He does a lot of weird movies in the 70s. He
likes to take risks.
I think he likes money.
No, there's no money in Zardoz.
Isn't there?
No, because Zardoz was like, for the time, 1974, was very kind of, I mean, it was a low budget film, but they were like straining their budget. They were just able to afford Sean Connery and like almost nothing else. Maybe the big giant stone head thing.
Yeah.
The very John Borman movie.
Yeah, but then like you see people like that are supposed to be suspended in animation, and it's just cellophane.
It's an interesting movie. What's funny, even though his outfit is, of course, notorious, he does ground the movie.
It's fucking dope. If you can look past the silliness of the production, or I would say like the art house campiness of it, and absorb it more as satire, it's really wonderful. Like there's a reason he's dressed that way. There's a reason the head is the head, and I think
it's pretty blunt if you aren't paying. Yeah.
It's super fucking blunt, but it's very easy for it to go over people's heads because they just look at the superficialities and they're not patient enough to respect what the movie's offering up. And it is really hilarious. And I think Sean Connery was really in on a lot of the ideas that Borman was throwing out there, and that's why he did it. You know,
he was a smart man.
He was unafraid, but he was very smart, and he loved high concepts. He didn't like the simple, let's do a little indie drama Sundance movie. He would never gravitate towards doing. Though
sometimes he did, and he was very good.
Yeah, but he can do a modest story, but there needs to be a pulse in there, like in The Name of the Rose. You know, like that's a very like.
If I'm not mistaken, just a side note, just to bring it back to Bond for a second, In the Name of the Rose, I think, was one of the movies that got made that was part of his deal to come back for Diamonds Are Forever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, are you sure it wasn't Never Say Never? Seems a little closer in timeline.
Yeah, that seems to make
Never Say
sense.
Never Again was 1983.
And Name of the Rose is like 1986 or 5.
Well, let me hold on.
That's right.
Well, I'll quickly kind of go in the 70s. He's adventuring. He's doing a lot of different types of movies, some good, some not so good. I think the three I mentioned, and definitely Zardoz, are ones people really remember. Murder on the Orient Express has been remade a million times. Mm-hmm. And he kind of he's in a lot of cult movies all the way from the late 70s to the early 80s. A lot kind of forgotten. And
like
then he
gets great train robbery with Donald Sutherland.
Right. And then I think there's another King Arthur one he did, like The Green Knight or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember it. But then he does, of course, the famous Highlander, which wasn't really a big hit.
You forgot about Outland.
Oh, God damn it. Outland. A really underrated movie.
I know. I love that movie. I mean, it's so goofy, but it's fun.
Well, it's totally corporate. It kind of takes from Alien, where it's like working class got Joes in space, corrupt corporation. But then what's brilliant, or what's really fun about it, is that it's high noon in space.
Yeah.
The one honest guy who no one is going to fix this. It's up to him. And Connery really, that's like that's great for him,
Totally.
Because it's not him being the biggest badass. He's like kind of reticent. He's got a wife and kid he talks to. He's not with them. They're not with him. They can't give him comfort.
He's a good age for it too.
Right. I just remember holding that goddamn shotgun, just walking those halls.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, good movie, Peter Hyams. But I think when he becomes legendary, it really is Untouchables, which he gets the Oscar for.
I think Name of the Rose is like performance-wise, it's understated, but it's
a good movie.
Doing incredible work with an incredible story that's so challenging and also like kind of trying at the time, especially of like what's in demand and what's in key with like what audiences want. Yeah, I can imagine people going to see that and getting bored out of their mind and leaving halfway through.
You have a good point that he's adventurous because there's no way he read that and was like, this is going to be huge.
No, he just thought it's going to be a great movie.
This is going to be good.
It's not going to make penny one, but I want to be in it. And he was
unafraid. It's a great role for him.
Yeah.
He was always one of those great older actors that was a great mentor to younger actors. I don't mean like on the set, just like in camera or on camera. He would like, him and Christian Slater, him and Nick Cage, him and Kevin Costner.
So if I can interrupt for a second, and because you guys are right. The Name of the Rose is not one of those films. So my apologies on that. But I think the reason. But hey, stop it. But I think the reason it spurred something in my head was because the two films, one was a film called The Offense, which was directed by Sidney Lumet.
Yes, that's I think the second one. Sydney.
No, that was I'm not sure which one it was where it falls in terms of how many movies he did with Sidney Lumet. But I think the reason it sparked something is because the second film was supposed to be that Macbeth adaptation that you were talking about.
Lumet was going to direct it.
I'm not sure if Sidney Lumet was supposed to direct it. But
man, if it was him, we're going to shoot it in New York.
It said the second film was to be an adaptation of Macbeth by William Shakespeare, using only Scottish actors, and in which Connery himself would play the title role. It was abandoned because Polanski's Macbeth was already in production. So there you go.
Macbeth versus Macbeth.
So that's why I made the connection. So I do apologize to listeners for the misinformation, but we here fact check our fake news and we own up to it.
Well, yeah, I mean, to get back to the other thing, yeah, I think Untouchables is where he hits stratosphere. Like this guy's a national treasure.
Yeah.
And he wins the Oscar for that. You know, it's a totally fictionalized, based on the TV show starring Robert Stack, take on Elliot Ness versus Al Capone.
Yeah.
But it's a script by David Mamet, a knowingly action drama script, directed by Brian De Palma, and it fucking rocks. And it's an Ennio Morricone score that is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just the filmmaking is beautiful. The edit, everything about that movie. You know, it's really just a Western in gangster clothing. Everyone calls it, the gangster movie Untouchables. It's really a Western.
Yeah, I agree with you, Rick. I think it has more in common with like Tombstone or The Magnificent Seven than it does with like a Goodfellas,
Scarface,
or anything like that.
And Connery is the one. He's sad in it. He gets a lot of great macho, tough lines, and sure, that's the Chicago way. But he's really a sad character. He's an older man. He's a beat cop because of the corruption of the city. He probably was like a detective of some sort who just stopped because it was too much.
You really think that? You think he was a detective?
Something. He was definitely not a fucking patrolman.
I just didn't feel like that was threaded. I feel like he was just brought up as like a blue collar cop, just like a whole family of blue collar cops before him.
I think he had been more than just a beat cop.
I think he just got taught a lot of street smarts from growing up on the street and then becoming like the best.
But he does have a line where he's just like, and that's why I'm walking the beat.
Yeah.
And it's a little hint. So maybe not. If you don't want to entertain that, I think that's totally feasible.
So what I want to
But he's sad, but real quick, Tony, he's sad because he's like, he doesn't have a wife. He doesn't have any kids. He's got nothing.
Well, now I'm sad.
I'm getting Real.
Oh, shit.
I'm getting sad talking about
Alright.
this.
Fuck.
Fucking pandemic and Sean Connery.
And that's why I'm walking the beat.
That's why I will walk on the beat.
So I think
Thanks, Obama.
I'm ready to go.
So I think one of the fucking Christ.
Well, you didn't let me finish.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
And so it's like a sad character, and I think it's people are like, oh, he only won because he gets to be showy. It's like, nah, there's a lot going on there that he gets to kind of underplay. And after that movie, it's Indiana Jones, Last Crusade, Hunt for Red October. You know, it's like he's a fucking living. Which one?
The Rock.
The Rock. You know, a movie I like called First Night, though. I'm me and some other guy, Cliff. I always say it's Cliff.
He's in
So yeah,
Robin
it
Hood.
becomes Sean Connery, and I know a lot of people know him from The Rock. A lot of people know him from Entrapment. I think now we're hitting the generation that I fucking love League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. You know,
If I even meet that person, I'm gonna punch him in the face.
they're going to be young. It's going to be assault. You can't do it.
I'll wait. I'll take down their names and I'll wait.
But anyway, it's a long struggle from him being not just iconic for Bond, but iconic for being Sean Connery. This is my long-winded point.
No, I think.
Anyway,
I think no, but I think it's a valid point. Because I think that one thing that I've taken away from Sean Connery when people talk about Sean Connery is that, you know, oh man, he was great as Bond. He's a great this, great that. But it's like he's a very good actor. I think he's still underrated as an actor. Because he's delivered some great performances. The accent is very strong. It's very thick. He's recognizably Sean Connery, but every time I've seen a movie of his, he feels like a different character. Like,
because he's never false. He's never like phoning it in.
He's always about the authenticity of the role.
He's in it. You know, even though he's playing a Russian captain, he's defecting, and you feel the power of that.
So I might end up cutting this question because depending on how it goes, but it's something that I do want to. But a question that I want to throw out to you guys is: given, I think all three of us respect Connery as an actor. Had he been on Her Majesty's Secret Service, would the film have worked? Because that's an ongoing debate. That movie is objectively a very well-made movie. The most divisive part of that movie really comes down to Lazenby's performance, and a lot of Bond fans, myself included, posit that if Connery had played Bond in that movie, it would have been the best. It would have been hands down the best Bond film of all time. I think, and for me, it would have improved every issue that I had with the movie. So I want to throw that out to you guys. What would your thoughts have been had Connery played in Her Majesty's Secret Service?
John, do you want to go first?
No.
Okay, I'll go.
Go, Rick.
Thank you. It's an interesting thing because there's definitely the first things I think of is the opening would have been different. It wouldn't have been a bunch of hand shots and silhouettes of Bond. It would have just been him.
Mm-hmm.
And he wouldn't have looked at the camera and said, like, this never happens to the other fellow. It would have been like, what the hell's wrong with James Bond? Why is he talking like that?
Yeah.
I do like to think, though, that it recently in a poll, I think in England, it got the best Bond movie by a poll that people entered, you know, and so I look at it as like, imagine if Connery had been in it. He was on game for what the movie was about. I think it definitely would have it would have been unabashedly, I think, known as like one of the best Bonds instead of like, even though its rep is really growing.
Yeah.
I want to say that it feels like every year, especially now with this poll coming out, that it is getting the respect it deserves.
Yeah.
But I think with Connery, it definitely would have had more emotional meaning, especially at the end when Bond looks at Moneypenny at like you know, it wasn't meant to be, kid. You know,
Here's looking
I love you like a friend, you know, and Moneypenny's like, Moneypenny's crying because it's like, it's you know, that's like people had, you know, it's sad. It's like people had made different choices. It's not just a cheap like, yeah, like fucking touching your ass, Moneypenny. No, they're sweet together and they flirt with each other and they like each other. Yeah. So in that moment, I think it would have had definitely more resonance if it had been Connery looking at Moneypenny.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And to be fair, I feel quite a bit of emotion during that moment anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would have but it would have been enhanced with Connery. John, do you have any thoughts on that, the central query?
I mean, I don't know. I always get like stumped with like those hypotheticals. Would it have been better? I don't know, man. Probably not. Just because, like, I think Sean Connery was so checked out by that point, he didn't want to be in any more Bond movies. If he had
yeah.
he had to be shoved into another one. I think it would have been like not a stinker, but you've been able to see that this was like, oh, he's really done.
Well, here's the thing, because he was coaxed back for one more, for Diamonds Are Forever, right? Obviously, the reason he got checked out had less to do with the effect of playing the role, but also his dissolution with his relationship with Saltzman first, and then Broccoli. But
yeah, I wouldn't like working with those guys.
What two names?
Tell me about it.
Saltzman, we'll get Broccoli.
Harry Saltzman, Cubby Broccoli. But we'll get back into that. We'll talk about that in a different episode. But had that relationship not deteriorated and had Honor Majesty's Secret Service,
it was like vile between. It was like
yeah. I think it would have been the thing where that would have been Connery's last Bond film, regardless of how good their relationship was. But I think that, under the right circumstances, he would have respected the script and put his all into it. Because it might have been one of those things where I'm tired of doing the same old thing with this character,
right? And then gives him something to play.
Exactly.
A new evolution for the character.
Exactly. I think that he probably wouldn't have been checked in. I mean, obviously this is all hypothetical, but that's just how I kind of see it.
I mean, how much for however much emotion you want to invest in a hypothetical, like I can't imagine Sean Connery in that role in that movie, because it's just shot different and it feels different, and it's clearly tailor-made for this new guy. And I feel like also there's like a campiness to that film in particular that is somewhat differentiates it very much to the Connery run. So, I mean, you can disagree with me. It's fine. I mean, I that's fine. I think I like Lazenby as Bond. I could have definitely seen him coming around, and he definitely could have come around and grown into the role if he'd wanted to do more movies in the end. But ultimately, it didn't happen. So I don't know. I feel like it's just, what is it even worth exploring the hypothetical? I kind of feel.
Because
we just lost Rick.
Yeah, we just lost Rick, so we'll pause it.
Just want to finish my thought there.
No, it's all right. Well, I mean, look, it's a question that Bond fans have. That is a topic of discussion. I kind of feel like we would be remiss if we didn't throw what our opinions are about that. I think it's fun to talk about these hypotheticals.
Yeah, I mean, it's always fun to imagine what it would be like if Nick Nolte played Han Solo and shit like that. I like humoring that imagination about these movies and things.
Yeah.
It's great. I mean, I can always like do a fan recast of any of these movies and imagine it in a wholly different way.
Yeah.
I almost even imagined, when we were talking about From Russia with Love earlier, like how number 2, I felt like could have easily been recasted with someone like Peter Lorre.
Well, yeah.
And I felt like, they just decided for the look and also for the cost, better get this other guy.
No, I think Peter Lorre actually died before that happened. Let me take a look.
I don't know about that.
Died in March 1964.
So yeah, he was still around.
But I think he was very sick for the last couple of years of his life.
That's sad. I know he had done some movies with Roger Corman.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he definitely had that vibe about him.
Yeah. Yeah, he was having a rough go of it in those last couple of years, so that probably wasn't even an option on the table. So in preparation for this episode, we decided that we're going to talk about what's our favorite Connery film that's not a Bond film. Mine in particular, probably an easy choice, but I'm very charmed by it, is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It's my favorite of those films in general. I'm very charmed by the idea that it's a series inspired by Bond, and you have the original James Bond play Indy's dad. That's literally almost exactly what happened. Like Connery, Steven Spielberg wanted to make a Bond film. George Lucas like, well, I have something better, and the rest is history. But the thing about Sean Connery in that particular film is that he's allowed to be goofy, but the character still has a lot of integrity. It is a very, very difficult balancing act, and I think he pulls it off beautifully.
He's one of the few that probably could have.
I think that's very true. That's
Like any
very
other
well said.
actor opposite Harrison Ford would have been like, come on. Like, I know he says that, like, come on, Dad, but it would have been more like, I got to take care of this old man.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed, Connery he never seems, he's out of place. He's not an adventurer like his son.
Yeah,
But he's not,
he's confidently out of
bumbling.
place.
Yeah, he's not
confidently
bumbling. Yeah, how do you know she was a Nazi? She talks so much.
My favorite moment is right after it's like the plane, like it just escaped this plane. There are all these seagulls like on the beach, and he does like a with the umbrella, has them all
I
fly.
remembered my Charlemagne.
Yeah.
I suddenly remember my Charlemagne. Let my armies be the rocks and the trees and the wind and the something like that.
The
and
birds in the sky.
And the birds in the sky. And
I love my dad look on Harrison Ford's face.
It's so fantastic. But it's like he's just like foolishly walking on a sunny day with an open umbrella, and he's just like,
well, he's
I'm
happy.
proud of his trip. He's happy. He's it's awesome. It's so good, and he's so fantastic in that role. I mean, also Steven Spielberg would talk about how Connery's a big student of history, which makes a lot of sense when you look at his filmography. And like there'd be a lot of times in the script where it's like he would see like an inaccuracy, and he would like, oh, no, I seem to remember it this way, Steven, that sort of thing. And it's
I've read Tommy Lee Jones is like that. Just like they know history.
Yeah, and he knows his history, and Anthony
Hopkins too.
Yeah, I think that I think this is the role. It comes off as the role that Sean Connery had the most fun diving into.
I think he's definitely talked about it, and they had a ball.
Yeah, and
shooting it
for sure,
and you can tell, or at least, or they faked it really, really well.
That is true.
I think it's public knowledge they had a lot of fun making that.
Yeah,
and it's a sweet relationship between the two of them. They're estranged, and they both play it. They feel real, like father and son. How that kind of like, I love my dad, but I don't know my dad, and like I love my son, but I'm, that tough father. I've heard the description where it's like, you spill your guts to your dad, and all they can say is, "But do you need any money?" Yeah, it's like, whatever. Dad, I'm fucking asking for real help here. It's like, right, I know, but do you need money? Like that's all they can give because their heart's closed off.
In a funny way, is like we talked about Austin Powers in the previous episode, but a line that sums up Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade for me is actually a line from Austin Powers in Goldmember, where Michael Caine's like, we were mates, you and I, and Austin's like, I didn't need a friend, I needed a father, and like, and that sums up Last Crusade perfectly. And it's just I
did I ever tell you to wash your ears, go to bed, do your homework? No, I respected your privacy, and I taught you self-reliance. And he's like, no, what you taught me was I was less important than men who were dead for hundreds and thousands of years. Yeah, and then it culminates when he thinks his son is fucking dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never told him anything. I just wasn't ready, Marcus. 5 minutes would have been enough. And Ford has no idea that they're mourning him.
Yeah.
He just is exhausted and just walks up behind him in that shot, low angle, and he's just, pretty bad crash. Like that's like the face Ford is making.
But then the look on his face when he realizes that.
He hugs him, and you just tear up.
Oh,
I thought I lost you, boy.
Oh my God!
And that's all it took. Is really he's saying like I wanted to tell him everything, but all he needs to do is hug his son, and you see it on Ford's face.
Yeah.
You know, all the ice and bitterness melts away.
Rick,
it's a great choice. It's a great choice.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Rick, why don't you give us your favorite non 007 Connery film?
I think there's a lot of good ones. Obviously he's been in some really iconic movies after Bond. I just want to name a couple. I mean, in terms of like the kind of character work that we talked about, definitely Finding Forrester. It's a formulaic movie, but it's honestly done. It's Gus Van Sant. He's really good in it. You know, they do like a J.D. Salinger thing.
Yeah, it's very much. Yeah, it's very much a film where it's like, it doesn't. It eschews any sense of like, quote unquote, pretentious artistry and just lets the human story be.
Yeah, I mean, and it's, you know, like Scent of a Woman meets A Little Good Will Hunting, a little this, a little that kind of thing, you know. But it's well done by Rob. I think the actor's not Rob Brown. Rob Brown. And Sean Connery. He actually produced it, so you know he must have believed in the property. Of course, The Rock is a big action adventure one. I like him in the movie called First Night. There's Hunt for Red October, Indiana Jones we mentioned, and Untouchables, Name of the Rose. We didn't mention that he came back for Bond in a non-Eon production called Never Say Never Again, directed by Irvin Kershner, the director of Empire Strikes Back. It's not bad, but it's not great. And it's probably something we'll talk about when we talk about that whole Thunderball Kevin McClory thing.
But it's pretty bad.
Yeah. And thing for Terry Gilliam fans, Time Bandits, where he plays King Agamemnon. I think, though, my favorite, and I do want to recommend The Offense. It's a tough movie to watch, but I highly recommend it.
I haven't seen that.
It's really good. Sidney Lumet, basically about a cop who loses his fucking mind.
I'll definitely watch it.
But I think the one where I kind of see him in all just looking great and having the time of his life also, and very poignant performance along with Michael Caine is The Man Who Would Be King.
Oh, that's going to be my answer. Oh, man.
Well, you can't pick it now.
Well, no, you took it right away from me, but
let's talk about it together.
I'm in a second. Yeah, let's share this. Let's share this because I was going to, it was one
Peachy and Danny.
One I finally saw recently, and I fell in love with it ultimately because I really like Rudyard Kipling stories, and it's obviously like a really classic adventure tale. I really love that movie.
Yeah, it's magic. Tony, if you haven't seen it, man, put that high.
And you guys said that was what, the 70s?
Yeah. I mean, watch all three of those. Man Who Would Be King, Winning the Lion, Robin and Marion.
I'm always down for watching some good Sean Connery. So absolutely, I would add it to the list. The Man Who Would Be King, right?
Yeah.
Okay. John, do you have anything else to say about that film in particular?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just so brilliantly directed by John Huston, and I mean, it's such a great team up.
It's a pet project of his.
Yeah, and you can tell also just how from when you see Treasure of the Sierra Madre that like he had deeply seated in his mind this concept of like two guys on the adventure of a lifetime and it tearing them apart.
And in a bigger, well, I don't want to say bigger, but the co-theme is which it's in Treasure, it's in Man, it's in Maltese Falcon. It's like seeking that fortune, that dream, and the fallacy of that, and you pay for it.
Yeah, and it's ultimately unreachable because it's just an abstract, and you'll never ever truly be richer beyond your wildest dreams.
Well, because you got to pay. It's like a paying of the price thing.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always a price to be paid for the fortune, and I think you feel so much of their story as it's unfolding. I think like
Well, they just exude. They love life.
they're so fun,
Danny and Peachy love life,
even
and
though they're
Michael
like
Caine and
oppressive.
yeah, I think that's a good point to bring up. I mean, they love life, but they're totally going to exploit people.
Yes, they are British.
But more than that, they're
They're British colonizers. Yes, thank you.
Well, they're rogues. Also,
oh yeah,
you know.
Oh yeah, they're the
and
worst
I think it's
people.
interesting. Probably if it had been made with, I think it was going to be, oh shit, Clark Gable and Bogey back in the day. And I think it probably would have been, you know, a kind of more of the time generic portrait of the Afghanistan. I mean, I guess they're not really Afghanistan because they go into a secret area of the Hindu Kush Mountains and stuff.
Yeah.
But it probably would have been a more general, oh, these savages, we got to get out of here. Oh, they killed. Well, I mean, spoilers, you know, they killed Danny.
Yeah.
But in this one, you feel for them. Like, even though you love Danny and Peachy, you're also aware of the fact that like what they're doing is not right.
Yeah, well, I think
that's
that's
what's dimensional about the movie.
I think that's something that would have easily been there if they'd done the Gable and Houston. I mean the Gable Bogey version. I think Houston always had in mind.
I don't know who was going to be who. I think Gable was going to be Danny, and
I don't think
Bogey
it really
was going to
matters.
Peachy. I like thinking about it.
I know, and it's exciting to imagine it.
Oh,
it would have been
know.
great to see Humphrey Bogart be the king of the village. It would be really exciting.
Well, anyway, Connery is just so magnificent, and it's great. He worked the way him and Michael Caine. It's a shame they never worked together again. But at the same time, to real quick side note, it has Christopher Plummer as Rudyard Kipling, who was recently passed away, and it's another. I mean, it's the three of them. No. And it's a wonderful adventure movie, but it's not and Connery is just full of life in it.
Yeah, I got the Blu-ray. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
I look forward to watching it, gentlemen, on your recommendation.
Yeah. Connery has a lot. He has a lot of interesting stuff.
And LXG. Don't forget about LXG. Put a lot of money into that.
Okay, so the next point of discussion is best and worst of Connery Bond, but I want to touch on that. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
LXG. Call it LXG.
What a way to go out. Like, that movie is just...
It broke him.
Oh, God. It's just a straight
He quit. He quit acting.
Oh, my Lord.
I fucking tried.
Yeah. Oh, we also had to talk about the fact that he was almost cast as Gandalf in Lord of the Rings.
Right.
He
said he didn't get it?
No. He if I remember correctly, Peter Jackson reached out to him to play Gandalf, or maybe it was just New Line where they were getting ready to do it before Peter Jackson stopped on. I forget exactly how, but he didn't get the script.
Like, he didn't receive it.
No, he just didn't get it. Like, I was like, he read it.
Oh yeah.
I don't get this, and I think something similar happened with another film. I want to say it was The Matrix.
That one sounds a little. Well, if he got offered that, who the hell was really serious about that?
Well, here's the thing. It was a couple. The reason I throw that out there is because it's leading all up to League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Because it was Lord of the Rings that he passed on but didn't get and became a big hit, and there was another movie that he passed on, didn't get it, and became a big hit. I'm inclined to think The Matrix.
No, I think you're right. No, I'm not. I'm saying you are right. I think, because I've heard that too.
Yeah.
I'm saying though that even though it's become a thing, like, he was offered, I wonder how serious the offer was, and I wonder, you know what I mean? Because it's like Hollywood, they'll send these big possible scripts to everybody that's a name.
I mean, and that's possible, but lo and behold, either way, regardless, he still passed on. He said no.
Yeah.
On those two, and then he said the next is it something along the lines of the next script that follows, whether I get it or not, I'm going to do it because clearly I've been doing something wrong. And then he gets League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and it's the movie that not only broke Sean Connery, it also broke Alan Moore. Because it's based off
Stephen Norrington has never directed again.
Yeah.
That's a shame, because I think Norrington's direction's not even like the worst part of it.
I mean,
It's not.
no.
I mean, the story is entirely misguided. The script is
Awful.
chopped up to bits.
Yeah. The editing is very haphazard.
And the movie kind of gets better as it goes. I don't know if it gets better, but a direction. I don't like the opening. I think it's very like
It just has like the baseline of what a real movie should be, but lacks all of this depth.
Mhm.
And most of that's
it lacks a
just
spark to it. Like
Quartermain's whole storyline is just cut to ribbons.
funny enough, I think Connery is what is one of the things that doesn't work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I assert also that they should have established his character as a miserable alcoholic as opposed to just a bored guy sitting out in the African Congo hunting wild game.
Yeah.
Because his son died, and he doesn't seem to be too affected by that. And then he meets the Tom Sawyer character who sort of becomes a path to redemption for him. And that doesn't really materialize into anything. So it's like a real missed opportunity as it's set up.
Well, he becomes a zombie at the end.
Yeah, well, but there's no redemption story for Quartermain. And
It's a thin movie.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. It's like
what-
we got the light version of what should have been a really dense story.
Well, I mean, we could talk about League, but that movie should have been.
Have either of you guys
It should have been
read
a Paul Verhoeven movie.
Well, have
Yeah.
you guys ever read the original comic book? that
Yeah.
it's based off of?
Yeah,
I haven't. I don't care.
it's got it's an adventure tale, but it's got
Yeah.
that Alan Moore bite to it,
Yeah.
and that's why I say Paul Verhoeven.
I've read more before. I've read Watchmen, and I've read his version of Swamp Thing. I've read 2 or 3 books of that.
This is a little different in that it's his period when he kind of has. Even he's talked about it, where he stops being kind of heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he just kind of like, I'm just going to write a yarn, but it's still filled with his,
Yeah.
I think his wit and his specific form of wit, where it's like
the thing is
slightly very misanthropic,
Well, I mean, the thing is that he can't help himself, because the thing is, I think he has his most, even when he's trying to have fun, he can't help but like impart some of his like worldview into it and that complexity. Which is such a shame, because it would have made for excellent film if done right. But I don't know if my choice would necessarily be Paul Verhoeven. But that's a different discussion for another day, because Paul Verhoeven's as good a choice as any. He's a fantastic director. So let's move on to our next point of discussion, which is what do we think is the best? What do we think
we
is
really
the
all
worst?
do our worst?
No. We just talked about League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Well, I mean,
is that the worst one?
Well, I mean, we talked about it based off.
You left Sir Billy out of the equation. That's his last movie.
Like you said your least favorite was League, right?
Did I? I
no,
just was
Tony.
saying it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But then we never went with ours.
No.
Well, because I mean, okay. Well, I mean, all right. So let me take it back. All right. So we talked about what my least favorite Connery non-Bond film is. What is John? Let's go with you. Which one do you think is the worst of the worst for Connery?
It might be The Avengers for me.
Ooh.
That one's pretty boring.
How now, brown cow?
Yeah, it's just boring. And I never liked the TV show. I know that was a big hit for a lot of people, but I never thought it was very cool. And,
I was intrigued by it because of Bond being a villain. I thought the teaser trailer was kind of cool.
I think the marketing for it was pretty good, but the movie overall is just trash.
Yeah, when it came out and it was like bashed, I was like, oh. Because I thought it looked neat. It was, this just before Austin Powers. So it's like a retro 60s, but everything's tech and it was kind of cool. It looked cool.
You're absolutely right. It definitely looked cool.
Just
and then
the whole mod concept was just old. And
I never
tired.
saw it. I mean, I never saw it. I just heard awful.
Yeah, things. It's just a tired concept. It just looked like it was at a time when they were repurposing a lot of 50s, 60s television shows into movies.
All because of The Untouchables and The Fugitive.
And it was falling right into that ground where like there was still a demand for like high budget action movies, of course. and there was also demand for like superhero movies. And so it was kind of touching everybody's palate. And they're like, let's do a British superhero TV adaptation. So it kind of seemed like a good
stars.
idea. Yeah. Ray Fiennes, Uma Thurman, Sean Connery. It's like an equation for a successful movie.
Let's get stars, and let's get the director of
fucking
Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, such a piece of shit.
Awful.
That's my least favorite of his movies.
Rick, why don't you give us yours?
I can't really think of a movie where Connery is like bad, but he's definitely made some bad choices. I think for me, from what I've seen, it's Highlander 2: The Quickening. I don't think anyone is. Either of you have seen it?
Yeah, I'm not into the Highlander franchise.
Well, anyone who's listening that is Highlander
quote it
fan,
all the fucking time.
Just today. Shut up.
And no, every day. Every day I see you, you quote Highlander.
I got my Highlander I have Christopher Lambert tattooed on my ass. It's because it's a sequel to the movie, but it has nothing to do with the first one. But it does have to do with it's a total clusterfuck of a mess. And you can tell Connery did it because they were like, well, we need Sean back, even though he died in the first one.
We could have set some things
up. And
I'm
sure he was like, sure, but you're going to fucking pay me. And I'm sure they did. And of course he shows up and he's the best thing about the movie. Nice. And then he dies again. It's just
like halfway through.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into the whole movie. Just look up, anyone who is interested, look up the movie. It's a clusterfuck of a story. It's a sequel to, like I said, it's a sequel to the first one, but they add in like, they're still immortals, but they were really from a planet that looks like Dune. It is just fucking stupid. And it's Michael Ironside trying to be Jack Nicholson. And it's a whole mess. Oh. It's a whole mess. There's like been like re-edits and they all suck. It's just bad. It's I think that's definitely the worst movie he ever participated in. Highlander 2.
All right. Well, now I've got something to look for.
You probably would like it in that kind of so bad it's good.
We'll have to do a double header. We'll have to watch the worst of Connery.
Boy, that's no thanks. Oh
all right, boy. Just me and Rick.
Just you and Rick. I have to say, like I'm standing by my pick, but gentlemen, you definitely pick some solid.
I hear your point with LXG. It's just that I've actually derived joy from watching LXG. Enough joy that I've gone out of my way and bought the fucking thing.
There's things you like about it.
There are things I do like about it.
Fair enough.
It's definitely not a good movie, though.
Yeah. No, I listen. We talked about this earlier. It's like you like what you like. You don't have to defend it, and that's totally fine.
I'm the guy that likes Die Another Day.
That's fine.
Another day. Another day. Another day.
Okay.
The 2021 remix.
That's fantastic.
Of a hit song from 2004.
Okay. So we've now
2002, whatever.
So now it's time to talk about what is our best and what is our pick for worst of the Connery James Bond films. Rick, I think I'd like to hear from you first this time.
Well, my favorite movie is the one we talked about previously, From Russia with Love.
Fantastic choice.
Oh, thank you.
No.
What, darling?
No.
I think though, if I have to be objective about it, I mean, his best performance is what everyone talks about. Well, then again, I don't know. Now I'm going back and forth. I think the quintessential one is Goldfinger, but I do fucking adore him in Dr. No.
I mean,
he's just lethal as shit and still kind of like roughly charming in Dr. No. And in Goldeneye, in Goldfinger, he relaxes a bit. He starts to kind of have a lot more wit and fun.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to force the brutality. You know, he's not as much a caged animal in Goldfinger. No. And I think it's the iconic Bond performance, the staple for everyone to chase.
Yeah.
His worst is, funny enough, directed by the same man, Guy Hamilton, and it's Diamonds Are Forever. And it's his
Facts.
worst because he's still really charming in the role, but it makes no sense the way he plays it following on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think his worst his diamonds are forever. It's
And the movie sucks.
the movie. The movie sucks, man. That's one of the worst Bond films I think in the entire canon.
Yeah. I think a lot of people think the commonality of bad Bond movies is cheese. I think for me it's blandness. It's boredom.
Yeah.
And things like Diamonds and Moonraker are bad because they're boring. They're directed like no one was directing.
Yeah. Agreed. Which is depressing considering that both those movies had previously directed an entry that is considered
made really good ones to great ones, right?
Fantastic. I totally agree with you there. I guess my pick for best, I think my pick for best is Goldfinger. I think he's terrific. Really, I think sorry, I need to start. I think You Only Live Twice also is one that doesn't get talked enough about for how good it is. I think it's a really good movie. You Only Live Twice, or at least it moves. It's a movie that really, really moves.
I guess some of this, the racial insensitivity gets people sometimes now.
And no question, there's a lot of stuff in that movie that you're like.
But, they give him Asian eyes, and
those weren't his eyes. What are you saying? He stole someone's eyes? I'm sorry.
It's like Minority Report. Never scratch. Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. I like Donald Pleasance as Blofeld in it, though.
Yeah, I mean, the yellow face. The yellow face in that movie does not age well, like at all. At
least he doesn't do a voice.
A day later, it wasn't any more fresh.
Yeah, at least Sean Connery doesn't try to sound Japanese.
And I mean, maybe I think you raised a fair point. Maybe it's rightly not talked about. But just as a film, I think it moves really nicely. I think it's a really, really great tale. And I think, and I remember in 2012 for the 50th anniversary of the IFC, they had a marathon of all Connery's Bond films, like for the entire day. And I watched Dr. No, and I stayed till You Only Live Twice. I skipped Diamonds Are Forever and I skipped Never Say Never Again. But I forgot that Thunderball is really choppy, a lot choppier than I remember, and that You Only Live Twice was a lot better paced than I remember.
Yeah, which is funny because I remember them differently as a kid.
Yeah.
I remember feeling Thunderball was cooler and You Only Live Twice was choppier, but whenever I watched them recently, it was like the opposite. Thunderball kind of drags.
Yeah, it does.
I like You Only Live Twice, especially because of the giant missile silo set in the volcano and that whole set piece and the way it's incorporated at the end.
Another iconic kind of Bond thing that everyone ripped off.
It's definitely one of the most grandiose and impressive sets, and definitely set like a major standard for like anything you would hope to anticipate. And I don't really think it got matched after that.
No.
I think that's like the best set.
In terms of like army, I mean, not in a World War II war as hell scenario, but in like a fantasy action adventure army.
What you imagine. That's what's been like replicated and imitated so many times over in so many other movies.
I don't think to that scale though, other than other Bonds.
Yeah, I mean, it's been imitated. They do like the Verchicon facility and Austin Powers with the subterranean like drill that they're gonna send, and it's purely like built and designed to be that facility, but they clearly don't even have the money to reach that level of scale. But they have all the signifiers, like the guys in the all-color jumpsuits with the hard hats, the staircases without any railings, and
it's the best ending to a G.I. Joe movie that never got made.
Exactly. And G.I. Joe totally takes its cues from its visuals from like that movie in particular, facility. I mean, again, it's been it's been matched and imitated so many times over that like I think
And
it's
beautifully
just so
spoofed.
so iconic. Yeah, absolutely.
My
And that
favorite
there's
is
and that there's like a private office built inside of that whole set.
and then
It's
Shark
fucking
Tank
outrageous. I
and,
love it.
and some bad water, right? Isn't there a
Yeah.
Shark Tank, or am I thinking of something else?
No, that's it's not a Shark Tank. Maybe, but I remember there being piranhas in the water. Or
That's what
something
it
like
is.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Helga Brandt, I think her name is, gets dropped into that. Like there's
Right.
a trick thing.
That's right.
It's
Yeah.
a walkway
The drop
that
away
just
floor.
drops.
There's like a
For
bridge.
sure.
Right.
Is that your pick for your favorite Connery Bond?
Me?
John? Yeah.
Oh, I was just piggybacking because you wanted to talk about it. It's definitely like a close second, though.
I just want to say real quick, the best spoof is from a Simpsons episode where Homer went to go work with a redhead dude, voiced by Albert Brooks, and he's like this mad megalomaniacal kind of. You don't know. I think he's like he gives Homer a new job, a new lease, so they give them a new home, and it's in this volcano. But then you end up finding out, like on the side, it's really about Homer and his family not being happy, and Homer needs to quit the job because they want to go back to Springfield. And he goes to quit, and the guy is being attacked like in You Only Live Twice by soldiers, and he's throwing grenades and firing machine guns, and Homer's like, "Hey, I have to quit. My family's done." He's like, "Homer, I'm sorry to lose you, but I understand, sir." He's like, I wish you the best." And he gets a flamethrower, and he's just like, "Ah!" It's like, all this chaos is occurring, and Homer like is in the background walking home sad, and like. That if you guys can look up that clip, it's the best spoof I've seen of that ending of You Only Live Twice.
I love that episode. I love The Simpsons in general. So you're talking to me. So what's your first your favorite Connery Bond, John?
Mine, yeah, it's so hard, man. I think it might be From Russia with Love. And it's a close second because I think yeah, for whatever reason, You Only Live Twice. Like I can look past all of the social transgressions with the poor yellow face, and it's absurd. It's absurd, but it's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's actually really well made. It's well directed. I love Donald Pleasance as Blofeld, and I love the set pieces, like I already said. And there's also something very final about it. You could easily abandon the franchise from that point and never go back. And I think you'd feel satisfied. I feel like the ending of it is very all-encompassing, and it's meant to make you feel excited that you made it in time.
He finally confronts Blofeld.
He does. You get to see Blofeld's face for the first time.
Goodbye, Mr. Bond.
Yeah, everything seems to be coming full circle in a series that had a run, and a lot of people were aware that Connery was like announcing that this was going to be his last James Bond film, so there was a lot of hype, and everybody like, "Oh, this is it, guys! This is the last James Bond."
He had no hair anymore.
Yeah, sort of like though right now how
toupee.
There's a lot of hype, I think, around No Time to Die, just because it's gonna be the last time we see Daniel Craig. He's made it public. It's been announced. He's made it clear he's.
I don't think it's really been announced yet. I was about to say. I think it's like everyone knows. Everyone knows, but it hasn't been officialized.
No, it's not official.
Rick, it is very much official.
It's definitely his last.
Yeah, he said in an interview when listen, let's also be real. He's at this point, by the time No Time to Die is released, Daniel Craig will have been promoting this movie for damn near 2 years at that point.
Daniel Craig will be dead.
God, let's hope not.
No time to promote.
But
Time to Die.
But when he was getting ready to film, he was on one of the late night shows, and he said, "No, this is my last one. This is my absolute last one." So,
I mean, that can just as easily change, but I think that is also a draw, and I think that also in some ways was a draw for You Only Live Twice when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
That people were like, "This is an event," and they pull the stops. He flies that gyrocopter, and like I said, they've got the whole Spectre lair in the volcano. I mean, just the whole idea and execution of that, and
They
like
rob a spaceship.
that you can land a helicopter inside of a volcano.
Whatever.
A fucking genius. I'm sorry. Just so much imagination, I think, goes into the movie, and you really feel it.
But is it CGI?
No. So automatically fail. Let's stop talking about this movie.
I need CGI.
Yeah. Is it in black and white? I don't watch movies in black and white.
Right.
Yeah.
Was it made before the 90s?
Yeah, but I think for me, it's From Russia with Love. We covered that movie. I think we all gushed over it enough. I don't need to go into depth.
Agreed. So, John, From Russia with Love is your first favorite.
Okay.
What is your pick for the worst Connery Bond film?
The worst Sean Connery James Bond film?
Yeah.
He's going to be like, Die Another Day.
It's definitely Die Another Day. I just haven't said it yet.
And Connery isn't in it.
Sean Connery should never showed up for Die Another Day. He played the wave.
Oh my God. Like, it makes his face like the Mummy.
Ridiculous.
It's time to crash
Chasing
this
Pierce.
franchise. Should have ended a long time ago.
Should have ended with
So my least favorite, and you're gonna laugh. My least favorite James Bond movie is probably Goldfinger.
Your least favorite Connery Bond is Goldfinger?
Over Diamonds Are Forever?
I like Diamonds Are Forever.
Oh, John.
There's a reason.
What's your reason?
Because it's fucking dumb.
There's a reason I'm a crackhead.
I think Goldfinger is fine, but the pacing is drab.
Diamonds Are Forever is like reading the Bible.
Say what you will about the Bible.
Double spaced.
I like it because it's completely off.
Oh my God.
You like bad things.
I do.
And more power to you. Fair enough.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say it. I'm just gonna be out, and I'm not trying to be a contrarian, although it is fun to be one. I just think
no, you're not trying. It just comes naturally to you, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess I like to just see you get upset.
I don't know why I piss people off.
Yeah, no. The reason really being, I like when things are unpalatable and tasteless, and they keep parading around like they're not. And the movie should have never been made.
You're talking about diamonds.
Yeah, I'm talking about Diamonds Are Forever.
Okay.
I'm just think that the fact that he even came back around to the franchise is abhorrent.
Money!
At his age, though, it's like, how much of a cash in is it for the investors, really? It's a big risk at that
Money!
point. It's not even like... It's not even exciting to see him come back. And You Only Live Twice was very final. And this isn't even the last time he played Bond. So it's hilarious to me.
Money!
I mean, you can go ahead and keep saying that's the worst one. But no, I think Never Say Never Again is the worst one he did.
Well, yeah, but you didn't pick Never Say Never Again. You picked Goldfinger, and your reasoning was
I want to rewatch Never
it's
Say
the
Never.
one I watched the least because it's the one that gets so overplayed, and
Which one?
Goldfinger. And I'm not saying it's not a good movie. It's just the one that I don't like go to a lot because
everyone else likes it.
Call me a contrarian, but I like.
I'll call you crazy.
A friend of mine years ago showed me how funny this movie really was, and I've gone back, I've revisited, and I've laughed, and I think that there's something to be had out of. I'm not gonna deny myself that joy.
I mean, you know what,
to be a
John?
Contrarian hipster ass.
John,
I got you.
Fair enough. I mean, it does kind of sound like, hey, so I like this movie because every single decision it makes is an awful decision, and this
girl that talked to me once showed me the way, and now I hate the movie. And that movie is Schindler's List. No.
Oh my God.
It's slow. I'm just kidding. I'm going to hell.
Goldfinger is fine. It's just very plotting, and it's already done well enough in Dr. No and and then from Russia. So
listen,
it's
we'll talk about it when we watch.
There's
Our
a
next
lot
movie is
more-
Goldfinger.
there's a lot more to be explored and enjoyed in Goldfinger. It's just I like diamonds.
I like movies that no one else.
I like movies that are shit, man. What do you want?
I have mine too. I
It was
can't
the question.
really.
What is my least favorite? It's Goldfinger.
Hey, that's
I guess I can't knock him.
It's my least favorite.
it's all
Because
good. It's all good.
And I'm comparing them to all of them, you know, and I like a lot of the good. I like the good ones too, and I can sit and watch Goldfinger and enjoy it, but I get bored.
Oh boy, that episode's going to be an interesting one, folks.
Whatever. Diamonds Are Forever is not afraid.
You're gonna. The podcast is gonna end. You're gonna be like, oh, why'd I reveal that?
It's okay. I mean, you know, I didn't say it was the worst one. Whoops. I didn't say it was my favorite.
No, you didn't. I don't know what the point was there.
So what the hell?
No.
Why do I have to be roasted?
Why am I getting persecuted?
Jesus. I
'Cause,
don't
you know-
I don't love Goldfingers. So
Hey, I'm
suck
about to
my dick.
endure our whole episode
Suck
soon.
my golden gun.
Listen. A good roasting keeps everybody honest. So it's gonna be all our turns at some point. I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have a field day with Rick when we get to the Die Another Day episode,
That one's gonna hurt.
like a root canal.
Yeah, it's gonna be like Travis of God's Lonely Man.
Look, I'm not entirely sure why I like Diamonds Are Forever. I just know that it's just easy to watch.
You hate yourself.
Yeah, you can put it on, leave.
Yeah, come back. It's still on. I don't need to ask any questions.
Is that Jimmy Dean? Ah, fuck it.
The question is not what happened. The question is why.
And you never get and it never gets answered.
Oh
Howdy.
my god. Okay. So we're gonna wrap up today's episode with our last discussion point, which is our favorite Connery Bond moment. And John, I think it's only fair to start with you because we kind of gave you a hard time last time around. So why don't you hit us with
2
your
minutes ago?
favorite? Yeah, 2 minutes ago. So why don't you hit us with your favorite Bond moment from Sir Sean Connery?
From all the movies he was in?
From all the Bond movies, yeah.
From
Is
all
there
the
is there a
Bond
moment that stands out like, oh my god, that was awesome, or something like that?
I don't know. Gotta think about it a little more. Come back to me. I'm not gonna piggyback your answer again, Rick. I do actually
I'm
genuinely
not offended
love.
by that. I'm not like at
I
the
love
restaurant.
The Man Who Would
I'm
Be
not like
King.
at this. I'm not like at the restaurant where it's like I'll have the ribeye. Me too. I can't. I don't want the
Son
ribeye
of a
anymore. Yeah, like-
You know, just go to Rick. I'll come back to me.
It's all good. It's all good. We're prepared here.
Fuck you. I don't have an agenda
What's
ready.
the episode today?
So Rick, why don't you hit us with your favorite Sean Connery Bond moment?
All right, check it. I'll hit you.
Check it.
My favorite moment. I don't know why, and I do know why. It's in Dr. No when God damn it, I got to name check the dude. Matter of fact, the actor plays the body of Blofeld in.
I think his name is Anthony Dawson.
Yes, he plays the body of Blofeld in From Russia with Love, but he's dubbed by another actor.
Yeah.
But he plays Dent, or Professor Dent, and he secretly works with Dr. No. He gets told by Dr. No to kill Bond, and he fucks up twice. And I think this is like the third time, or maybe the second time. He's coming to just straight up shoot Bond, and of course Bond has set up pillows, and the guy shoots the pillows, empties his fucking clip into him, and Bond is just sitting on a chair by the door, in front of the bed, and the guy can't see him because he walks in the door. And so when he sees that it's not Bond on the bed, he turns around and sees Bond sitting there. Bond interrogates him. He gets all the info he needs, and the guy goes for his gun, who he had been told to drop on the ground, but he's out of bullets. And Bond, in the way Connery plays it, it's just lethal as shit. Like he just says, like, "That's a Smith and Wesson, and you've had your 6," and just silencer kills him. Shoots it, and the gun's got a silencer, and it's just a perfect fucking like assassin like kill, and it's quiet, quick, and just a great line. You've had your 6. It's like
fantastic.
It's like you're out of bullets, and now you're gonna die. And
I think he shoots
Connery,
him one more time.
like he unscrews the actual silencer and blows the smoke out of it and kind of takes a moment. It's just so good. It's like a small moment for Bond, but it's it's great. I think it's like a moment that I'll be willing to bet really inspired Craig and the way he plays it.
Absolutely. I mean, just to elaborate on that. I mean, the juxtaposition between the smoothness of that moment and just how shaken he is by the spider that he goes to sleep in the bathroom.
Right.
It kind of does remind me of Craig's the opening of Casino Royale, where one kill is very messy and the other kill is very clean, and like how he reacts to both of those.
Yeah, he stomps that spider like 10 times with his own shoe.
Oh God!
I guess not somebody else's shoe.
No. He actually went next door, stole somebody's shoe, and
give me your shoe, sir. I
need your shoe. Damn it! I have a spider in my room. So my favorite Connery moment. I think it's the opening of Goldfinger, where he gets into the fight and electrocutes the guy with the heater, the fan, or what have you. And it's probably one of my favorite line of his. Probably one of my favorite Bond quips in general, but it's my favorite line of his. It's like, and it's the one that's most indelible in my memory. He's putting his gun back on. It's like, shocking, positively shocking. That's my favorite. That is my absolute favorite Bond moment of Connery's. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. My father makes fun of me for using that word over and over again. Well, Dad, if you're listening, it was fantastic. John, want to hit us with it?
It's so funny because I was gonna pick that same scene, but it's a different moment just prior to that, and it's when he sees the assassin with the knife in the girl's eye, like in the reflection of her eye.
Yeah.
I thought that to me is like a very standout trademark Bond moment that immediately comes to mind when I think about like just how exciting those movies are and how like cunning and cool James Bond as a character is. Yeah. And also just like that image alone of just seeing the guy coming at you. It's like that whole shot design to me just encapsulates just the imagination that goes into those movies and creating a shot design like that, even though the design of that shot is flawed. Because it should actually be a reflected image. I remember that in the movie, rather than flipping the image of the guy coming at the reflection, it's just the same shot, just composited over her eye.
Like his arm is the same arm.
It's on the same side. It should be the other side, and they don't respect that. But it doesn't matter as it's happening. It just fucking works.
Well, how many times have you looked in a girl's eyes and seen what's behind her, like what she's looking at, like
what's coming at you?
Yeah, I don't think that's possible.
No, it happens so fast, so it doesn't process.
No, you don't think about it, right?
I mean, I watched it eventually and thought, oh, that should be backwards.
Like she must have just been like. Her eyes bulging, and Connery's like, "Oh God,
Jesus,
there's a guy behind you."
Actually, I was reminded of that moment because they parodied it in "The Spy Who Shagged Me." I just had an opportunity to rewatch that, and they made the same mistake. They put the guy's reflection not in just one eye, but both her eyes.
Is that the lady? Is that the lady who they're falling and she won't die?
Yeah, exactly.
And then he
why won't you die?
He moves her in his way as they're falling.
Yeah, he's using her as like a human shield for like 10 minutes. Yeah, but I think that again, that, and then maybe if I had to pick out like another great Bond moment, I think it would be the it's totally the Aston Martin in Thunderball for me, not in Goldfinger, because they used the reflective panel just as he's making his escape.
And the beginning, right? In
the opening, yeah. He uses that, and then he uses the water slick or oil slick in the back of the car as well to like stop the guys.
He gets a jetpack.
Yeah, just like anytime he uses his jetpack to get to the car, and then he uses the gadgets in the car as well. And like anytime he uses his gadgets and things like that, I always get really pumped up, and those moments really stand out to me. The way he incorporates the attaché case to kill Grant also, and From Russia with Love, I think is an incredible moment because he uses the whole fucking gimmick from the sovereigns to the talcum powder, tear gas in the case. All of it gets used literally in that single. And then, of course, the ejector like knife, all of it gets used. He doesn't waste anything. Yeah, but I think that the standout alone is like, it's just that shot of the guy's reflection in the woman's eye. You know, it's iconic.
Yeah.
It stands out to you as like a very pulpy graphic image that you would have seen in like the cover of like a comic book or something.
Yeah.
It's one of the more visually dynamic things that show up very early on in those movies and stand out and make you think like, wow, this is a different kind of movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I love that. I love that. Definitely. I mean, I just took it for granted as like a really cool shot. I never really thought of the composition and how clever it is. Thank you for enlightening that for me, John. And yeah, I think we picked some good moments here, fellas. I think this was a really awesome discussion because I think Connery. People can debate who is the best Bond till they're blue in the face, but the truth of the matter is Connery is the standard by which every Bond will be measured. And he left us last year, but he left us a great body of work to enjoy. So that about wraps it up on our discussion episode of Sean Connery.
You Know His Name will return with A View to a Kill, Roger Moore's final James Bond movie. I can't wait to discuss it with you guys. It's going to be a really good one. This is one of the kookiest entries in the James Bond canon. Can't wait to get into it. So from all of us at You Know His Name, folks, please stay safe out there. And remember, nobody does it better. Good night.